You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. TGIF, sorry for the little bit of a late start. I know we are live on YouTube. I'm hoping people can see us on YouTube. For some reason, everything on my end is good, but I'm not seeing it on the other end. So hopefully everything is good on YouTube. I know we are live on X as well. X has been very good to us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, that's awesome. Great to see you. Hopefully you're watching us live and not watching us back as a recording. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you haven't subscribed, please do so ASAP. Another busy day to get you to the weekend and what should be a great weekend of high school and college and pro sports here in the Quad Cities and all over the Midwest and the country as well. We mentioned it's November 7th. Crazy how quickly time is going. Thanksgiving is going to be here soon. So a lot to get to. If you've missed anything this week, shame on you. Go back, check it out. We've had Scott Docterman on. We've had Kyle Huseman, Pat Angerer, Tom Kakert, Mike Morrissey's been on from Moline. Kai Weinzerl was on from Geneseo yesterday. Rock Island soccer standout Jonas Cortez as the Rocks get ready for a big match tonight. We wish Rock Island soccer the best of luck as well. So it's been a really fun week so far. If you missed any of the shows, go back, check them out as soon as you can. As I mentioned, we're live on X. We are also up and going on all of your podcasting platforms as well. So Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, Apple, anywhere you get podcasts, check out Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And of course, welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa each and every evening as well. A big show to get to today, a busy show. Weird being in studio on a Friday. It's the first time in 2.5 months that we've been here in studio on a Friday. Usually we've been out and about at a high school football game. No local high school football games in our area at home this weekend. that'll change, of course, with some wins next weekend. So in studio today with a lot to get to coming up in just a matter of moments, we'll continue talking about that big Iowa-Oregon game with John Bohnenkamp coming up in just a little bit. Also look ahead to Western Illinois and Iowa on the basketball hardwood at Carver Hawkeye tonight. Of course, nobody knows those two programs more than John does. And then, of course, a little bit about the women as well. They play Sunday at home. So John coming up in just a little bit. Also, later in hour number 1, it'll be Greg Armstrong from View from the West previewing everything when it comes to high school football in our Quad City area, when it comes to Moline in 7A, Geneseo in 4A, Monmouth Roseville in 3A, Rock Ridge and Newman in 2A, and then in 1A, Anawan Wethersfield. And speaking of Anawan Wethersfield, in hour number 2, Tony Gripp will join us, their head coach, to preview their game with Deer Creek, Mackinac, and a whole bunch more as well. So all of that to get to coming up here on a Friday morning. As I mentioned, I hope you're able to see us on YouTube. If you're not, I apologize. It says you can see us, but I can't see it when I look. So hopefully things are up and running and going well on that app as well. Congratulations, volleyball-wise. Assumption, your 3A state champions. North Scott, your 4A state champions. We'll get those schools on Monday. Obviously, both teams in Coralville yesterday celebrating, tried to effort to get something done today. It was just going to be tough to get it all figured out. So we're going to do a little volleyball on Monday, maybe Tuesday of next week, and kind of celebrate state championships. But congratulations to both. Awesome seasons for Assumption. They're your 3A state champions, and North Scott, once again, state champions in 4A as well. I remember seeing North Scott and Pleasant Valley. I called that game for MediaCom MC22 earlier this year, and PV won the first 2 games and we're cruising in game 3. North Scott came all the way back, won game 3, then won game 4, and then won a deciding game 5. And I knew then and there, you knew the talent was there. You didn't know if it would equate to maybe state championship, but that opened my eyes. Obviously, it's a great program. So the Lady Lancers state champions this morning as well. As I mentioned, best of luck to all the high school football teams. We'll get to all of that coming up throughout the show. And good luck to Rock Island tonight. They are playing for a trip to the state championship game in the state semifinals when it comes to soccer. So best of luck to them. Also, Riverdale winning in volleyball yesterday, a sectional championship. We'll kind of go through some of the other volleyball throughout the show. But a busy, busy time of year when it comes to all of this fun stuff as well. Speaking of all that, let's get to our first guest and talk what we've been talking about all week. And if you're tired of listening to it, I apologize, but you know what? I don't think too many people are. Iowa and Oregon, maybe one of the biggest games in all of college football this week. So let's talk a little Hawkeyes as we have all week with my good friend John Bohnenkamp. John, before we get going on these Hawkeyes and your busy weekend, because you're going to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you might as well get a condo up in Iowa City.
I thought about it.
I gotta reference what you have on your chest. Congratulations, World Series champion once again. How quickly did that come in the mail? Or do you as a Dodgers fan?
This is the one from last year. This is the one from last year. So I'm stacking, Now my new one is coming. So next time I'm on, I'll wear that.
That's even worse because I forgot that now you're stacking, and I have one. Like I said, I have one, but it's now 10 years old, almost something like that. So
I have a World Series program too, so I did get that early. So.
That's cool. Well, congratulations to your Dodgers. It was less than a week ago. You were watching a crazy Game 7 and all that kind of stuff. So, but we'll talk Hawks because I don't even know where to start with you. We should maybe go chronologically through the weekend, and maybe let's start tonight when it comes to the Iowa basketball team. Act number 2 under Ben McCollum. Before we talk about tonight, Western Illinois, a program you know a lot about as well, obviously. Right. Take me through what your thoughts were on Tuesday, the opening night, when it came to Ben McCollum and the beginning of that era at the University of Iowa.
I thought you couldn't have asked for a better way to start. And, there were some moments in the second half where there was a little bit of stagnation, but this team played really good basketball. And it wasn't just really good basketball. It was fun to watch. It got the crowd that was there involved. If you watched on social media, the reaction to the fans are like, hey, this might be kind of fun. So I think that's, the beginning of his career, you look at, he won the press conference back in March. He won the off season with the way he's gone around and sold this program to fans around the state, and then he wins his opener. So he's really, right now, it's, this program is in really good shape. Now you've got to start winning games. Now you got to start, how do you go from game 1 to game 2, that sort of thing. So, there's still a lot to learn about this team, but I thought the other night was, you couldn't have scripted a better opener, I don't think.
Double checking, you were at Carver on Tuesday?
Yes.
What was the atmosphere like? I asked Tom Kakert that, and I know it wasn't a sellout, 15-5 or anything like that, but the energy was, what I could tell from watching on TV, pretty good. And I think I was talking to somebody this week, and I'm like, Fran McCaffrey probably didn't get fired for the product on the court. He got just as much fired for the brown seats that you saw around Carver Hawkeye. Those were still there at points, but there was energy and life. Your thoughts on that side of things when it comes to the new student section getting moved down there, and those kind of things, atmosphere-wise at Carver Hawkeye?
It was really interesting because maybe about 25 minutes before the game, 30 minutes before the game, it looked like a crowd from last year around this time. And you started thinking, okay, he's got some work to do. So, and then all of a sudden everybody showed up. And, it was a loud crowd. They enjoyed what they saw. I do like the addition of those seats underneath the basket. From what people said who were down there, the kids that were in those seats were having fun, and they were getting on the other team and that sort of thing, which is what you want from that, from them being there. I thought it was a really good atmosphere. Yeah, there were a lot of empty seats, but that's going to come back, I think, as long as, if this team keeps winning, keeps playing the way it is, those seats are going to start to fill up now as you get into December, as you get into Big Ten play. And again, so I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about it couldn't have been I would, would you like to see a couple of thousand more people? Yeah, but you know what? That group that was there the other night was pretty loud.
Yeah, and it doesn't get fixed overnight. I know there's a new excitement, a new energy maybe on that side of things, but they want to see it, they want to have fun, and then come back again. So I think it's headed in the right direction. I know Ben McCollum went and gave high fives to the crowd or to the students, and I think that's awesome. I do remember somebody texting me and being like, or messaging, might have been on the chat. And you can chat with us right now if you want to get on YouTube. But I think it was one of those things they were like, well, Fran never did that. And I can remember Fran and his guys going over to the student section over signature victories. So, but you and I both know, and Kakert and I talked about this, Fran was about coaching basketball. He wasn't about he didn't look at it as like my number one goal is to engage the fan base. It wasn't against them, but it wasn't his top priority. And I think they are doing a better job with that right now as well. Western Illinois comes to Carver Hawkeye Arena this evening. You know a little bit about the Leathernecks from Wee U can do, as TC used to say. What do we know about Western Illinois, X's and O's wise, when it comes to what they want to do, their roster? I know their new head coach seems like a really good dude. I've heard really good things about him. Your thoughts on Western Illinois?
Yeah, I've known Chad for years. Chad is a Southeast Iowa guy. He grew up in Farmington, Illinois, or Farmington, Iowa. Played at Harmony High School, led that team to the state tournament back in the early 90s. His coach JUCO ball. He's been there now since when he was Rob Jeter's top assistant when Rob came in 2020-2021 season. Chad's done a really good job of coaching there. This is a hard place to coach. Like a lot of those schools at that size, that there's a lot of transfers and all that. I mean, this is pretty much an entirely new team. They have one guy come back, and he didn't play last year. He redshirted. So he's been trying to put this all together, and I think I've seen them practice a few times this summer and even into this fall. And what it has always impressed me is they've gotten better every time. And so I watched a lot of their game the other night against Radford on the road. They had a chance to win. And that's Radford is kind of indicative of what they will see in Ohio Valley Conference play. So, I mean, I think they got picked last in the OVC, but I think part of it was nobody knew what they had. And they've got some good players. And Lucas Lorenzen, who was their leading scorer the other night, was an NAIA All-American. He's an Iowa kid. So there's a lot of Iowa connections on this team, which is really interesting. So I think tonight's going to be kind of fun from that perspective, just to see what they can do, because again, all that matters to, their season is basically based on the conference. That's the only way, if you want to get to the NCAA tournament, that's the only way you're going to do it. So I want to see how they progress from game 1 to game 2 against a really good team that played really good defense the other night.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a fun game for me to watch. I mean, from two sides, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you got double the duty tonight.
Yeah.
John Bohnenkamp joining me right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You want to talk Hawks or Leathernecks or whatever? The chat is going. If you're on Twitter and watching, hit us up there as well. John, you look at Iowa from the other night, and I think we knew Bennett Sturtz was pretty good. It was a weird lineup. I talked to Kakert about the lineup, and he thinks it's going to change throughout. Your thoughts on the lineup, the rotation, what stood out to you? I still think the Brendan Hawson coming in late in the first half, and I know Coach mentioned, hey, it was just a matchup thing, and I don't know, but, I don't know a lot about basketball, but I don't know how much matchup stuff you worry about when you're up 20 against a lesser opponent, especially when that's a major transfer that came over from K-State. I just thought it was a little weird. I'm intrigued to see how much he plays tonight. But if you're the head coach of Iowa, which I have campaigned for decades, John, what's your starting lineup, or what's your best 5 right now if you're the University of Iowa? I do think it's going to change over and over.
After one game, it's really hard to say. I will say this about the lineup, and he did say that the other night. You're going to see a lot of different things. I think what he went for the other night was, and he said that he was, a couple hours for the game, he still didn't know who was going to start. And I think he went with familiarity. 4 great guys, and Cooper Koch, who is, the lone returning scholarship player in the program. I think he went with familiarity. With Brendan Hawson, I just think it's, he didn't practice a lot this summer because he was coming off an injury and off-season surgery. Maybe he's a little behind a little bit. And then there was also something he said the other day on Monday when he said, he goes, our shooters aren't our best defenders, and our best defenders aren't our shooters. It's so maybe there was a defensive component there that, hey, I want to see some better defense. And when he did get in the game, and he did play 13 minutes, I think those numbers probably go up tonight. I thought he played good defense. I mean, he didn't get beat on anything. So, again, I don't take, let's kind of wait and see how the rotation kind of goes here in the next few weeks before, and it's just, I think he's just going by feel right now. And again, as much time as he's had with his team, he's also only seen them now in 3 competitions, 2 scrimmages, and this one against other teams. So he's still trying to learn, what guys can do and what guys can't do and where they fit and all that. And I think it's going to be fluid all year, at least through the end of December, and then we'll maybe see something settle in after that.
Yeah, Tommy kind of talked about it being fluid throughout. I'm like, yeah, maybe for a little while, but I think come Big Ten play, might see something. But the good thing is there is depth, and we did this with Fran. It's like, man, he could play so many different guys. But I think in college basketball, you got to get to that 8. When you're playing 9 or 10, and you can in these types of situations, but you got to get to that maybe 8 or 9. And here's the thing too, John. Bennett Sturtz doesn't come off the court. He doesn't want to. He doesn't need to. He's the best player probably on the floor. So, even when the other team's in town as well. So, you now take those minutes where you're splitting up, what is it? Make me do math in my head. 200 minutes? You're now taking 40 almost, maybe 39, and saying, okay, those are these guys. So it's 160 for the rest of them. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's wrap up basketball, because people are watching this going hey guys, there's a football game. I get it. We're going to get to it. Who impressed you the most from Iowa the other night? And you can't say Bennett Sturtz, because that's obvious and easy, and he's really, really good. And I mean, things about him, he's so unshakable. I didn't know he was as athletic as he was with the dunk. So we know Bennett. We're going to put that in there. Who stood out the most to you as the guy that you're like, oh, I didn't know this, or this is going to be fun to watch?
Cam Mannion, who started, was pretty good. And I liked Alvaro Fulgaris off the bench. Everybody kind of thought he was going to start, but you know what? He came off the bench and I thought played really well. He's that dynamic that this program kind of hasn't had. One of those guys that can do a lot of different things and have, he's got a lot of size to him. I think he's kind of an interesting guy off the court, and Ben McCollum's kind of referenced that a little bit. But I think he is one of those guys that everybody thought was going to start, but he came off the bench and still played a lot of minutes. And I think maybe that is his role early on. And, maybe, and then that may be a good role for him. So those two I thought really stood out to me. But I thought, again, everybody that got in and got significant minutes, they didn't do things that you were like, okay, why are they playing?
Yeah.
You already thought, okay, these are pretty good ball players. So.
We had Fulgaris on the show last week. If you guys missed it, go check it out. It was last Wednesday, I believe, and you mentioned just an intriguing, personable guy off the court as well. I think Iowa fans are going to really enjoy him, and I think he's a really good basketball player. The thing that worries me about the team is size-wise. I think there's going to be some nights in the Big Ten on the road. You go to like a Michigan or a Purdue or just a power program, and they're gonna have to be physical. So I mean, those are the things that I think they got to work through. But I was impressed with game one, and also John, Tavion Banks reminds me of me in my C-League days, like the athleticism, attack the rim, that kind of stuff. So that's just the only comparison I could think of was myself.
Yeah, he was really good too. And I mean, I was really impressed with the way he kind of attacked the basket and the way he did some different things. So again, I just think that this is a really good combination of players. It's just a matter of how does this combination work? And it's something that I think is going to play out over the next couple of months.
Iowa and Western Illinois tonight, Carver Hawkeye Arena. Is it a 6:30 start? 6.
Which is fine with me.
No, it's good, especially with the next day being busy and all that kind of stuff. Right. It was funny. I was going to go to Iowa City and spend the night and like probably go to the game for a little while, maybe partake in a beverage or two with the rest of the radio team. But my wife's out of town. So like I had to be the good dad and like stay back here, and then I'll go up tomorrow for the pregame show and the game itself. Speaking of tomorrow, there is a game at Kinnick Stadium. Everybody's kind of talking about Oregon, Iowa. What's your headline coming into this game when it comes to like what pops off the page, or what's the biggest storyline going into the game for you?
Everybody's kind of addressed. The other thing I'm going to address, something that I think people have kind of noticed, but they haven't really noticed. I don't think the weather's going to be very good tomorrow. And I think that favors Iowa. I think it's going to be an interesting weather game. And so we can talk about the running game. We can talk about all that. If it's raining, that makes things different. If it's snowing, I think it makes it kind of cool. That is going to be the one thing tomorrow that I think becomes a factor if the forecast holds what it is right now. And so it might be a really fun game tomorrow from that aspect. I'm not fun to sit outside. Where we're going to be, it's going to be fine. But I think I'm going to be curious to see what the weather's like tomorrow, because that may end up having a difference in the game when it comes down to it.
I think tomorrow afternoon I'll realize how much my life has changed in the last year. When I'm up in the press box, dry and warm, and sharing a brownie or some food with the elites that are John Bohnenkamp and Tom Kakert, and I'll look down at my brethren that used to run the sidelines with and be like, oh, it's just not going to be fun. But with that being said, I really look at the trenches in this game, John, because Iowa and Ohio and Oregon, I believe, have two of the best offensive lines, not just in the Big Ten, but maybe college football. And then flip it, I think both defensive lines are really good. I think there's NFL-type dudes on both sides. And is it as simple as saying, I know I've talked a lot about it this week. Everyone thinks Oregon and they think fancy uniforms, fling the ball all over the place. I still think a lot of people here in the Midwest think like Chip Kelly is running the offense, and that's not the way they are. I think they're both big boy programs that want to run the football and be physical and tough, don't you?
Yeah, and I said that the other day, we were talking about this game with somebody, that I do think it's going to come to up front on both sides of the ball for both teams. It's like, I don't think, when you look at Oregon's numbers and the way they run the ball, they're really good once they get to that second level. And so in Iowa's situation, they're going to have to control the line. Iowa's running backs are really good when they get to that second level. So they're going to have to control it. So, I mean, really it is going to come down to who controls that space and how they control it. What do you do with your linebackers? Do you put 8 guys in the box? Those sort of things. And so as much as we can talk about players and all that, I think it's just going to come down to who controls that up front, and whoever does that is going to win the game.
Someone sent me this. If you take completions and rushing attempts together for Oregon, 30% of them go for 10 more yards or more. That's the thing with Oregon is they're super, they can be explosive with those athletes. I look at it too, and John, look back at the 2 big home games this year. They've had plenty, but Indiana and Penn State, and atmospheres and craziness and everyone looking forward to it. And both of those 2 games started with Iowa shooting themselves in the foot, throwing an early interception, short field. They're down 7-0 before we can even get to our second brownie, which is a disaster because that's not very quickly until we're into our second brownie. And I say to myself, it was the way those 2 games started were so bad. They have to start better. You look at Minnesota and it'd be great to get the ball and go downfield, put up a touchdown, be up 7-0. And I don't think you're ever going to see 20 minutes of football, the first 20 minutes against Minnesota, what Iowa had ever again. I mean, when you have a rushing touchdown, passing touchdown, field goal, special teams touchdown, and defensive touchdown before the second quarter, you're like, or middle of the second quarter, you're like, wow. They got to start fast, don't they? Or not fast, but they can't start bad like they did against Indiana and Penn State, right?
Right. Because the bad start against Indiana cost them a win against one of the best teams in the country. The bad start almost cost them a win against the team that was struggling at that time. So you've got to be smart in those opening minutes and kind of let this one play out early. Now, if you can strike early, if you can get a turnover, and I think back to the Ohio State game back in 2017, how quickly that game turned in their favor. And if you can do that, great, but don't do it on your end, because I don't think you want to give a team like this, a very good football team like you saw in Indiana, I don't think you want to give them an early lead and let them kind of set the tone from that point, because then you're chasing points the rest of the day.
No, it was, and then you look at those games too, John, that both right before the halves were disaster too. Iowa scores against Indiana. There's like 22 seconds left or 27 seconds, something crazy. And they get a personal foul, go down the field in 2 plays, kick a field goal. And then I don't even want to bring up the Penn State stuff of what was and what, I mean, those 4 instances, the beginnings of the 2 games and the end of the first half of those 2 games, are so uncharacteristic when it comes to an Iowa football team that I feel like if they're just not uncharacteristic to what they are, against, and can we save time and not do a coin flip? Like Oregon wants to defer, Iowa wants the football. No matter how that thing is flipped or whatever, it's going to be Iowa getting the ball first, isn't it? I can't see anything different.
And so you want to go down, you want to move the ball a little bit. And I mean, the longer you can hold that first possession, the better off you're going to be. I mean, you don't want to go 3 and out. You don't want to turn the ball over. You don't want to do stupid things. But, if you can take a little bit of time off the clock and kind of set a tone up front, that's a good opening drive. But, again, this is going to be one of those games you don't want to make mistakes in, because I think Oregon will seize on that. And you just don't. And then if you get behind, I just think you just don't want to be chasing them the rest of the game. That Penn State game, and some of it was Kirk Ferentz's decisions. They were chasing points, and somehow or another they got a win out of it. So you can do that against a struggling Penn State. I don't think you do that tomorrow.
All right, prediction time. I've had Doc on this week. I think he didn't give me an actual number one yet. It was early in the week, but he said Oregon by a touchdown, but it was not a touchdown, a field goal. But it wasn't one of those things where Iowa couldn't win the football game by any stretch. I think Kakert has Iowa by a field goal. I have Iowa by 1 million because I'm contractually obligated to do that.
Yes.
But I do think it's going to be. Kakert almost sold me that the game to worry more about it for Iowa fans might be USC and not Oregon. And I'm not taking anything away from Oregon, but I think it's one of those games that if both teams come out and play good, Like, it'll be a really close football game. I don't think there's times Iowa, you're like, man, if Iowa can play perfect and get some turnovers and do some things, they might have a chance. I don't feel that way in this game. I feel like if they go there and play big boy football and that Oregon shows up and plays well, it's going to be a 60-minute game and come down to the wire. Your thoughts, your predictions. I know people are sitting there with their phones right now, probably like on DraftKings or FanDuel, and they're like, all right, wise old owl, let me know. Where do I put all my money?
Let's drop
Give it to me.
I'm going to say Iowa 24-20.
Okay.
But the thing that kind of concerns me right now, and it's just because we're always looking at it from our perspective, the media perspective, and there's so much talk about, how Iowa plays well this time of year and all this and all that, and you're sitting there thinking, Oregon's probably clipping all these stories out and putting them up on the wall.
There's too much Iowa love right now. There's too much Iowa love.
And that has me a little concerned with this game. So I'm going to go Iowa 24-20 with a late stop. Oregon's driving late and they may get a late stop. That's going to be my call, but that's what I'm going to go with.
All right, last one. Over under Randazzo plates of food, 2.5.
I'm going to go under.
Ooh.
I don't know what they're going to have. So I'm going to go under. But it may be a push because I could see you getting this a half plate later in the game. So.
That's true. Well played. Let's talk a little women's basketball before I let you get out of here. They're there on Sunday. Sure. So like I said, back and forth we go. Your thoughts on that team right now? I think just kind of the same thing as the men. You're kind of with so many new faces when it comes to transfers and the freshmen. You know what you have with certain people, but I think it's a big puzzle still. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's, Jan said it the other night that they're younger more than they're older. And I think she's right. The question for her is going to be, as we get into these next few weeks, how do you balance the younger and the older? There's some really good young talent there, but she still has Hannah Stuelke, Kylie Feuerbach, Taylor McCabe. How do you balance all that? And how do you give people minutes? And how do you do that? It is going to be the biggest question for this team as you get into December, as you get into Big Ten play. What's that rotation going to look like? I mean, the other night she played 10 players, and she would have played 11 if Tegan Mulaney had been healthy. You're going to have to figure out how that rotation shakes out. And that is going to be the conundrum for her, I think, as the season moves on. And because, you're still kind of transitioning from the old, and she likes veteran players, but at the same time, you got to play some of these kids. It's going to be her biggest question as we move into Big Ten play.
Addie Deal, I know the expectations were super high. It's just been one game, and I think she's finding her footing in college basketball. It's always different. So, but it's amazing. You look to social media already, and they're just like, "Oh, is there something wrong with Addie Deal?" And she's played one game. Your thoughts on just coming in and the expectations and getting your footing as a freshman in one of the best conferences in all of college basketball?
I will say this before I get into her, and it's something I say every November. It's November. I've covered 33 seasons of college basketball. Do not worry about November 4th, or 5th or whatever. Worry about, see what this team looks like in December. In her situation, I just think that it's, it's like, she still doesn't quite know what to do with her, maybe. And I think she's a really good player. I think she's going to grow as these next few weeks go on. You're going to see her minutes go up, I think. But again, you've got so many players there, and you've got to try to figure out where to go. And it's going to be up to her, I think, to really show she can do that, to where she can play 20, 25 minutes a game. I think she can. I think it's going to take a couple weeks, though. So, again, be patient. We don't know what this is going to look like.
As Aaron Rodgers said, or spelled, whatever it was, relax. It's one game. So, and I'll tell you this too.
Breathe,
Go ahead.
I said seasons have got to breathe.
Yes.
You got to let them breathe a little bit. You got to let it. So don't freak out if, this person doesn't play much. If this person doesn't play much, everything's just got to you just got to kind of settle in and see where this goes from here. And again, numbers will change as we get through the next few weeks.
I will say this, when it comes to another freshman, I think I've been telling people to maybe, because of the people she's playing behind, that Jordy Houston probably needs to, like, don't expect the world because of the situation she's in. But man, she made the most of minutes too. Like, I mean, she played for somebody who didn't like the minutes she got. She played outstanding. And I think that's a cool situation where if you just watch that, I know that it's a 10-person rotation right now and Mulaney's out. So she's probably got a little more than expected, but I'm intrigued by that. She's just a great young lady and she was a gym rat and I think she's going to do some good things. So,
I thought you did good things tonight.
So John will be in Iowa City tonight. On Friday, on Saturday, excuse me, and on Sunday. Enjoy the weekend in Iowa City. Like I tell people all the time, like you're Tom Kakert smart, but you're better looking. That's what I always tell people. Like you're right. That it should be a shirt that said I'm smart.
You need a shave, though.
Yeah, and I think I do too. The beauty part is like I don't even like what my wife said to me the other day. She's like, "You have your razor," which I do, so people know I have my razor sitting right here because that's what I used to do before the show. Is like the newscast is I would always grab my electric shaver and make sure I was. And now I don't care. It's just a beautiful thing. Exactly. I'm in my house hanging out. So I appreciate you, my friend. I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully I can hang out with the cool kids once again, and we'll see how the Hawks do this weekend. I appreciate you. Thanks, buddy.
It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
All right. That is John Bohnenkamp, one of the best in the business when it comes to covering Iowa athletics. And yes, we've talked a lot of Iowa this week, and rightfully so. It's a huge game, Iowa and Oregon. 2:30 tomorrow. Don't forget the pregame show starts at 12:30, the Hawkeye Tailgate Show on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Excited. Aaron Graves, an interview with him. Jordan Lomax, our honorary captain. Pat Anger is always on. Tom Kakert and Shannon Eckhart will be our media panel as well. So many fun things to get to tomorrow. We're not going to be outside. We're going to be inside. So if you're looking for us at Cross Family Plaza, we won't be there, but we will be with you on the Hawkeye Radio Network, and it should be a ton of fun. It's been a fun season. It's been a blast being the pregame host. It's been what I expected, a whole bunch of fun. And we got more to get to. Coming up after the break, we'll talk high school football. The boys from View from the West will join us to talk about a busy Saturday coming up on the Illinois side of the river. That and much more right here on OTA. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. It's weird being on a Friday and not being out and about somewhere for high school football. No local games this weekend when it comes to our local teams playing at home, but there's still plenty of great high school football. And when I think high school football, it's weird, but I think of the man right here, Greg Armstrong, along with Mitch. But Mitch, Mitch has 4 kids. Does he have 4 too?
Yep.
Jeez, we
He's
all
got
3
4.
have 4 kids. The three
Got
of
a lot
us,
of kids.
the 3 of us have procreated 12 times. That should be against the law. Like we shouldn't be able to do those kind of things. So he's got a sick kid. So I'll give Mitch the benefit of the doubt. I have to. But Greg is here to talk high school football. Is it weird that it's like next weekend is quarterfinal weekend?
I think it's I felt like the regular season always goes fast, but then I don't know, like when you get into the postseason and you get, the games are pared down. There's not as many games, and you kind of get to dive into them a little more. I almost feel like it slows down a little bit, right? Where you get time to kind of digest what you're looking at. So,
how long was the View from the West podcast this week?
I thought going into it it's probably going to be a little shorter this week because we lost several teams and we still pushed over 2 hours. So,
Unreal. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is kind of getting ready for this. I'm like, we're narrowing things down and that's never a good thing because we want as many teams in our area to do well. But it's, like you said, we can kind of focus more on each of the matchups. Last week, we couldn't go through all of them. I couldn't. You and Mitch, of course, did. But I couldn't do that. So anything stand out about last weekend before we move into what's to come this weekend? What will you take out of or remember from last weekend's high school football in Illinois?
I think it'll be a long time before anyone who watches football on the western side of the state forgets what happened in Geneseo.
Yeah.
That last 5 minutes in real time is unbelievable, right? To go from getting a touchdown, the place goes crazy, you go for 2 and the lead and you don't get it. So then that airs out of the balloon. They have to get the onside kick. They get it. They get into field goal position and Carson Peters is there to drill a 31-yard field goal. And that place goes crazy. There's fireworks going off. Of course, Dan Pearson is right in the middle of all of it.
All over.
Because he's the GOAT. He's the greatest. So man, you know how it is. Like, there's something special about Geneseo football, especially when you get to this time of year. And if we're being honest, it's been a few years, right? Like, they had a little bit of a lull there. But, man, that was really fun to watch and to see that play out.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I think we'll start there then because I think, Greg, and here's how excited Geneseo is. I don't know how many, I don't know what the population of Geneseo is, but we had Kai Weinzierl on the show yesterday. I'm pretty sure everybody in Geneseo watched the show. That's how excited they are. You could look at numbers and all those kind of things, and it's like, wow, that's a nice spike in numbers. And it's because of the excitement in Geneseo. I was out in Geneseo last night. My 8th grader played Geneseo's 8th grade. I'm the head coach. And yes, Greg, I know you're wondering, by the way, the Jordan Jaguars came away with a 41-38 victory. There's already talk of me being coach of the year. 2 games in, but there's already some circulating rumors. I hate to spread rumors, you know me. But no, anyways, but it was even there. I got to meet Kai's dad and talk to him for a little bit. And it's not just about they were on the show. There's a genuine excitement. And we know that's nothing new in Geneseo, but it's such a tradition-rich community. And you just mentioned maybe a little bit of a lull, and I agree with you. But when the lulls are 5 wins, 6 wins, 5 wins, you know what I mean? It wasn't anything terrible. That shows you're a great community, great program, all those kind of things. I thought it was an amazing game. I mentioned on the show yesterday, we were going up to Detroit on Friday night after trick-or-treating, which I would not advise anybody with 4 kids to ever give them a bunch of sugar and then put them in a car. Bad idea. But we're updating. And I think I was watching Drake Landsman probably, and I'm just update. And then finally we got to see it. So really cool thing. And I think they can now turn around to this week. They go to Macomb. Obviously, Macomb's a school that you guys cover a ton. I've gotten to know more of. They've had a fantastic season. It's a really intriguing matchup down in Macomb on Saturday. What sticks out to you when you look at that matchup?
Well, I think the matchup is intriguing because it's, Geneseo coming out of the Western Big Six, and it's McComb coming out of the Lincoln Land Conference, two conferences that will very rarely, if ever, cross over and play each other, right? Like, it's just kind of that weird where Geneseo's on the smaller end of the Big Six and McComb's on the bigger end of the LLC, and they kind of meet in the middle here. It's an interesting matchup in that way to see these conferences cross over. I think Justice Keene, maybe Brian Stocking was in on it too, but these programs have not met very often over the years. I think they met maybe once in like 1979 in a playoff game. So it's kind of a cool historic matchup that they're not that far away from each other. It's a little bit of a drive, but they don't play each other very often. So I think it's just kind of a fun playoff atmosphere. And for both teams, it's been a few years since they've made a big push. Obviously, Geneseo's seen more success in playoff football historically than McComb. But either way, both towns, both communities, really excited to be here. It should be a really great atmosphere. When
you look at McComb, and I've gotten to know more about the Bombers this year, and we've had their coach on the Instant Reacts as well. A fun program. What is Geneseo looking at when it comes to McComb? What do they bring to the table? Kind of educate the Geneseo listener that may be watching the show right now.
Yeah, I think, what McComb does well, what they've done well this season is they can kind of spread you out. They're pretty balanced on offense. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball around a little bit. When you're looking at Caden Nupp as a quarterback, he's a junior. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards, almost 1,500 yards for that matter. He's had 15 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. His main top receiver is Drew Watson, who's a senior, has caught 750 yards receiving. He has 7 touchdowns, but then running the ball, you have Drake May, who's a junior. He's over 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns himself. I believe 7 100-plus yard games. So he's a mainstay. Drake May is a kid to watch on both offense and defense for McComb. He's just one of those all-around great football players, just a really good athlete. He's someone you got to keep your eye on if you're a coordinator or if you're a fan watching the game. Like, he's going to make an impact for McComb if they're going to have success. So I think that's what to watch for. I think going into the year, I was really excited about McComb, and outside of one trip up against Farmington at home, a game they had a lead on Farmington, they lost that one. Otherwise, they rolled through the Lincoln Land Conference. So, this is a program that I think was kind of looking at this year as being exciting. And outside of that one slip up, they've delivered.
You mentioned really good football players on both sides of the football. We had Kai Weinzierl on the show yesterday. That's a definition of guy who, and when there's a big play to be made, he's always around there. He's always there. Yeah. And defensively, he's probably where he's going to play football in college. He's a really good defensive player as well. Geneseo has gone through the bigger games, the bigger schedule, playing 5A, 6A, 7A schools. How much of an advantage is that? And I know that makes this game intriguing. Is it an advantage? Is it how do you look at it when it comes to, the smaller school in the big conference playing the bigger school in the smaller conference?
Oh, I think it's a pretty big advantage going into this game for Geneseo because they've seen a lot more. They've seen some big time football. When you're talking about Moline is still in the postseason, you have Sterling who made a postseason appearance. United Township made a postseason appearance. So I think you look at, and those are bigger schools, right? They're all bigger schools.
They hammered Quincy just like 2 weeks ago.
Yes. And so, and Quincy also a playoff team in there as well. So when you look at what Moline has seen, playing these playoff teams and beating them that are bigger than them, I think that, and you also look at in the non-conference, they played a game against Sycamore, I don't know where they ended up this season as far as record-wise, but a really good program in 5A, hovering around 4A, 5A every year. That's something, those type of teams, those programs, McComb isn't seeing that in the Lincoln Land Conference. So the McComb has answered the call. They just, based on their schedule, I don't think they've been tested the same way that Moline has. I don't think they've seen what Geneseo has seen. So
I know you love the matchup. You love the matchup so much. You're probably heading to McComb this weekend.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make that trip. The 1 o'clock game on a Saturday. I believe I've only been to Macomb once. Listen to this. At one point, you had me on a swing that started in Macomb.
I hate when you
started
start
in
that way.
Macomb, and then I went from Macomb to Keokuk, Iowa.
Why? Why did I do that?
Because Assumption was playing. So Monmouth Roseville was going to Macomb, and Keokuk was hosting Davenport.
Was it a
Assumption.
Friday night?
And it was a Friday night. Yeah.
Were you not on set?
Here's the fun fact. What's that?
Weren't you on set with us?
A lot of times I was, probably not that night.
All right.
And here's the funny thing is it feels like that was like a fever dream that didn't really happen. I told Mitch went with me on that trip. Do you remember when Mitch used to go a couple times when I worked at 8?
Yes.
And Mitch went on that trip, and he insists that it didn't happen. He doesn't remember it. He insists that it did not happen.
He's a good
man. I don't know.
You know how many people that, because not just employees at WQAD, but like we had freelancers and do you realize how many times we'll like go to lunch on a Friday with like the shooters or whatever, and they're like, do you know you made me do this or you made me do that? And I'll like listen going, yeah, man, I was a jerk back in the day. But like, there was one time with Kiddo, with Ian Jacobs, and I would always have him do like Dixon to Rock Falls to Sterling. I'm like, you can get all three of them. It's just easy. And then like, this is no joke. My son is 16. Charlie was like 1 or 2, and we were going to Chicago just with him. And we got to Sterling, and then I'm like, he had to go to the bath. I think Jen's like, we got to change Charlie or whatever. Sorry, Charlie, for listening to this. And I'm like, we'll get it at Dixon. And she's like, we're going to wait that long? I'm like, Dixon's like 5 miles away. And she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes. And I looked and I'm like, oh, it's a lot longer than I thought it was. So sometimes I probably overestimated a few things here and there. So Well,
I'm saying it with a smile on my face. So, it's all good.
Did you and Mitch make predictions for this said Geneseo game?
No, we usually only do the predictions through Ty in the Three Rivers. So
I just didn't know if you wanted to alienate your one viewership or the other when it comes to this game.
I'll put myself out there. I'll lean Geneseo for the reasons we just talked about. I think the schedule they've seen, even in a losing effort against Moline, again, you're seeing those top quality programs. Yeah. And it's bigger schools than what Macomb has seen. So I'll lean Geneseo. I hope it's a good game. I really like Macomb, like I said.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but when you look at Iowa, their most impressive thing on the resume is they lost to Indiana. And I was telling somebody the other day that Geneseo's most impressive thing on their resume might be that they lost to Moline. And yes, they lost 28-7, but like, it's not bad. And they were like, they hung around a little bit. And so like, I think that kind of shows a really good 7A team that they hung with or played with. I don't know too many teams in the LLC that are going to go do that or go to Quincy and win. So I would agree with you. I like Geneseo. I think it'd be really cool to have Geneseo back at home for a quarterfinal game. That place last Friday, and I was out there at 10 a.m. And it was already like, there was already a buzz. I mean, it was crazy. There were people working at the stadium. They brought the touchdown. I don't know if you saw that. I should have taken a picture of it.
No.
Back in the day, they used to have this huge, like they need a crane to put it up, but a touchdown that goes up over the visiting stands. And it's just 2 arms and like a touchdown. And they went and found it. They repurposed it. I got to show you a picture. You've got to see it.
Wow, yeah.
They bring a crane in. And so on the visitor's side, there's a big touchdown thing coming up over and it used to be a tradition in Geneseo for a ton of years. So anyways, it's cool community. Love the community. Love the football there. Let's go up to Moline real quick. We had Mike Morrissey on the show this week earlier as well. Talked a lot about Andrew. I didn't realize it till he told me this. I don't know if you listened to the fantastic show that we did, but their defense hasn't allowed a touchdown in like 7 weeks. Their starting defense.
Yeah.
Hasn't allowed a touchdown.
I did see that.
And that's hard to do. I mean, and yes, you're probably jinxing it. I don't know if I was him, I would ever said that. But I think with Moline, yes, their offense can be good and they run it, and they have a young quarterback that's getting better and better. I'm not discounting that side of the football. It's one of the better defenses that we've covered in this area in the last decade or so. I mean, that's what they're doing on defense at Moline. Now they go on the road to Glenbard North. What do we know about Glenbard North? What can we expect in that game?
So Glenbard North 7-3 on the year. They're out of the Duquesne Conference. What's interesting, so they got to win 17-0 over Yorkville in the first round. Actually, I was kind of hoping that Yorkville would have won that game because that would have been a rematch from the epic triple overtime game in the second round when Moline was on the road at Yorkville. They lost on a 2-point conversion attempt that was literally inches short. They got stopped in one of the greatest games we've seen around, from teams in our area. But I wanted that rematch because I wanted Moline to be able to get revenge. But anyway, Glenbard North got that win. So they won that one 17-0. What's interesting overall as a program, they were winless 2 years ago, and they only had 2 wins last season. I think they won their first 2 and then lost 7 in a row last year. So this is a program that's come a long way in a few years to find themselves in the second round of the playoffs now with 7 wins. So they have senior linebacker and tight end Tyler Havorchek, who was the Duquesne Conference Defensive Player of the Year. So he was one of 5. He was called up as a sophomore, one of 5 kids they called up as sophomores when they were winless. And now he's kind of been through it, right? And kind of helped them come back to where they're at now. He had 2 interceptions in that game over Yorkville. So I think he'll be an impact player. They have Donato Gatsis on the offensive side of the ball. He's rushed for 100 yards 7 different times this season. He had 179 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win over Yorkville. So a couple names to watch for on both sides of the ball. It's always this time of year. You're going on the road. It's always a challenge, right? Like, I don't think any game in the second round on the road is going to come easy because these opponents are all going to be good. But I mean, I think I like where Moline sits in this one based on kind of what you said, like the way the defense has been playing and the way that that the offense will kind of do what they do, right? To go to the old Geneseo joke over the years. I think there's that combination that wins football games this time of year.
Yeah, I think just the way they're playing, I expect a low-scoring game. I really do. But I think it just feels like it's time. And despite what Brian Stocking is telling people on Twitter, Moline has never been to the quarterfinals. And they're not making it up. Like Mike Morrissey's not using it as a motivational piece so that like Brian Stocking can burst everybody's bubble and be like, not really. So
if there is a technicality, Brian Stocking will find it.
Yes.
And sure enough, Geneseo. Moline won a playoff game when it was only 16 teams in the field total. So by winning 1 back in 1979, that meant they were in the quarterfinals. I should have clarified, Moline has never been to the quarterfinals in the modern playoff structure. There, Brian, we got it corrected, so we're all good.
And Moline also has not won a road playoff game since Pekin back in 1991, which he randomly texted us the other night as well.
He did
text me. Brian, I know Brian's listening. He's like, the reason why I did, and I get it, and he's the best. I'm only saying these things in jest. We love Stockpile. He is a national treasure. We love him, but we also love to give him a hard time every now and then. So I like Moline as well. I do think that there's going to be 2 Western Big 6 teams in the quarterfinals. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a homer, but I do feel like it's that time. And then Moline will be at home. Geneseo will be at home. It's a beautiful thing. That week, Iowa plays at USC, so I only have a half an hour pregame show from noon till 12:30 to 1:30. So I'm planning on coming back to the Quad Cities and going to a playoff game if there's like a 2:00 start somewhere or 3:00 start.
So you called it out, that if Moline and Geneseo win, regardless of their opponent, they will host.
That's awesome.
Well, either they will host no matter what. So that would be an amazing weekend in the Quad Cities to have both of them at home in the same weekend in the quarterfinals. I guess there's the question for Brian Stocking. When was the last time the 2 Western Big 6 teams were in the quarterfinals on the same Saturday in the same year?
And
so,
Oh, I don't know, because Geneseo, it would be Geneseo and Alleman, but Geneseo wasn't in the Western Big Six.
That's true.
So
Okay. None of those.
Quincy not Quincy, but Moline hasn't been, except for 1979.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe Rock Island and Alleman back in the day.
It's been a long time since Rock Island would have done it, but yeah, you're right. When Sterling made their runs to the semifinals,
that's probably what
were they still in the?
No.
Were they still in the Big 12?
I think.
At least one of those years, I know they still were in the Big 12.
I think by the time
that's a great question.
By the time they got to the Western Big Six, Alleman wasn't going to any quarterfinals.
Yep. No.
So you could take Alleman out of the equation when a Sterling did. So they probably didn't do it at the same time. Maybe Rocky Alleman, maybe back in the Alonzo Wise days.
Yeah.
If that's that's a great question.
Oh, we're gonna have. I think this is a good either Brian Stocking or Matt Schuckman. One of those two might be able to look into the archives.
Is it
for that
possibly that it's never happened?
I suppose. Yeah.
As the great Andy McKay would tell you, it's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. So, anyways, in 3A, Monmouth Roseville still alive. Boy, were they impressive last weekend. Since losing to Rock Ridge, Monmouth Roseville has been nothing but superb. Like to go back home and handle Newman the way they did in the last week of the regular season, and then winning last week against Mantino. Now they have the tough trip to Bloomington Central Catholic, a team that beat Princeton last week. What stands out in that game for you?
Well, I think, for Monmouth Roseville, it's going to take that full team effort like we've seen last week and the weeks ahead of that when they've been winning football games. A solid dose of Nick Houston. Last week, he ran the ball 28 times, 205 yards, 4 touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, they had 3 interceptions. I believe they had a fumble recovery on a kickoff. So just a really well-rounded they controlled that game from start to finish. So that was a great sign for me, right? In a game where you're the favorite, you're the higher seed, you want to see that comfortable win to kind of see that team building confidence, and just from the outside watching it, know all right, this team is playing great football right now. You're going to have to play really good football against Bloomington Central Catholic. I mean, obviously, they're a great team coming in at 10-0. They're out of the Illini Prairie Conference, which the same conference that produces teams like Tolono Unity, Monticello, St. Joe Ogden. So teams that are year over year, usually in the southern bracket of 3A, but they're making it to that state title game. Occasionally they're winning state titles, and Cully Welter got a state title out of Monticello. I know that Tolono Unity's won state titles, so St. Joe Ogden's been in the mix as well. So just teams that are really good. This year, Bloomington Central Catholic's the best of all of them. They got a 34-27 win over Tolono Unity back in week 3. They beat Monticello 41-13 in week 5. So they're averaging around 47 points a game. Just a really good football team. Valshawn Poe was the kid doing the damage for him last week and throughout the season. They also have running back Dallas Harder, who's gone over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. They got a kid, Matthew Brady, who's a quarterback and an outside linebacker. He's got 4 D1 offers, according to Mitch's notes here.
Wow.
They got a tight end who's one of the best tight ends in the state. So, I don't want to keep rambling on, but they're a good football team.
I think Monmouth Roseville is going to be able to move the football against them. I think they're going to be able to be physical. I'm worried about stops. I'm worried. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think they're going to need a turnover or some help. I think it's not going to be a blowout, right? Especially right away, all those kind of things. I mean, Monmouth Rose's got a chance. I ain't going to pick against them. I think they're going to win a state championship. I've learned my lesson, Greg. No siree.
Yeah.
But the things I've heard about Bloomington Central, and don't they have the running backs going to like Illinois State or something like that?
I believe that's correct. Yep.
So,
yep.
A really good football team. So, best of luck to Jeremy Adolphson, the Titans. They've been great this year. They've been a bunch of fun to cover and chat with and all that kind of stuff, and see if they can go down and surprise some people and beat Bloomington Central Catholic.
It seems like the same kind of recipe that Moline needs to do is what Monmouth Roseville needs to do, right? Those programs, I think if you they both kind of mirror each other in some ways. If you can, establish yourself on the ground and really run at people and keep the chains moving on offense, grab a couple key turnovers, I think you can stay in a ball game like that. And the big thing becomes like controlling the clock and really keeping the ball out of their hands. I think you control the game in that aspect. So I think that's key. I think that's huge. I'm excited to see Jeremy Adolphson and this team go out there, like you said, and try to surprise some people and maybe just, come up with a big win, really work, really grind it out and come up with a huge win. It'd be a ton of fun.
No, absolutely. In 2A, number 1 seed Rock Ridge, impressive last week. We knew they would be. They go on the road to Tri-Valley this week. A difficult game. I don't want to say difficult, but not a cupcake by any stretch of the imagination. Rock Ridge should win this football game. What do they got to do to make sure that they don't stub their toe, if they will, before that much anticipated, most likely matchup with Wilmington coming up in the quarterfinals?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, keeping Cullen Schweigen and that offense, finding receivers and being that dynamic playmaking offense. And just the defense has been there all year long, right? It's been stifling. They've really slowed some teams down, some good teams they've slowed down. So I think that overall, you got to just continue to focus one game at a time and play up to your caliber, right? There can't be a letdown. And like this Rock Ridge team is probably one of the more well-balanced, overall, it's hard to find a weakness in this team, right? For a lot of teams we've seen over the years, not just Rock Ridge, but a lot of different programs, it's hard to pinpoint a position or an area of weakness. They're really strong all the way around.
No, I completely agree. I think they go on the road, take care of business. Everyone looking forward to that Wilmington game coming up, which would be at Rock Ridge the following week. So, Greg, if that happens, we would have Geneseo at home, Moline at home, and Rock Ridge at home coming up next weekend. Yeah. All in quarterfinals. Yeah. Sign me up. Now, I just got done saying I would go and go to a football game. There's no reason I don't go the 8 miles down the road or whatever it is. I don't even think it's that much to get to Rock Ridge from my house. So also in 2A, Newman impressive last week as well. Talk about Newman. I lost my notes on where they're headed to. Where's Newman at this week?
El Paso Gridley.
Yes, which is another familiar school when it comes to postseason football.
Yeah, so El Paso Gridley's 10-0. They're having a really good season. A young team, a lot of sophomores and juniors for that team, which is kind of an interesting contrast with this Newman team, which kind of senior-led or had a lot of kids that have been through the LeMay system over the last 2 or 3 years. What to watch for against El Paso Gridley, they're up-tempo. They want to move fast. They want to spread you out. So they're going no huddle almost the entire game. Wow. From what I've read. I haven't seen game film, but they're going no huddle. They're going to keep moving quick. I think that's a challenge for a lot of defenses. But, man, we talk about it a lot. I trust a Mike LeMay-led defense. I trust that effort. I trust the players he has on the field. I think that's El Paso Gridley's going to see a defense maybe they haven't seen yet this year in a Newman team. I really believe that strongly in that Newman defense. So I think they have, in the middle of their season, El Paso Gridley had 3 wins in a row against DMAC, GCMS, Gibson City, Melvin Sibley, and Tri-Valley. So all playoff teams. That's a really good stretch of games right in the middle of their season.
Yeah.
So, they've been battle tested, but hey, so is Newman, right? We've talked about Newman seen the best of the best in the Three Rivers, and for the most part, they answered the call, right? They, fell short against Rock Ridge and Monmouth Roseville, but those are 2 really good football teams that a lot of teams are going to fall short to. So I going back to the beginning of the year, I like this Newman team. Similar to Rock Ridge, I think they're pretty balanced on offense and on defense. I think they're built for the experience to win this time of year. So I lean Newman in this one, going on the road, maybe getting that, what would be kind of an upset according to the seedings.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love to see it. I love what Mike LeMay does with that program. And I think they got a bunch of talent. And that's the beautiful thing. I didn't know what would be better, 1A or 2A for them, but going down there, where would they play? I'm putting it on the spot, but where would their next opponent lead them to in 2A?
Let's see. They would be there again. They will also host. No, I'm sorry. They would host Farmington. They would travel to Aurora Christian.
I got to talk to you about Farmington again last week. You were at that game, weren't you?
Yeah. That was awesome.
Unbelievable game finish. I mean, I think you guys called it like that was going to be, despite the records, the best game of the weekend. And man, that's some good football.
I will say, like, Kyle Kampmeyer catches a lot of flack for his NUIC football coverage because a lot of times he plugs his conference, right? And it sounds like he's being a homer.
He's not
wrong. These teams back it up. I mean, these teams back it up. This Eastland Pearl City team was 5-4. They went on the road to an undefeated Farmington team in the first round. They gave Farmington everything they could handle, man. I mean, they set the tone early in this one and were the most physical team right away. Now, I will say Farmington responded. They were physical throughout the game too. They held outside of a scoop and score on defense. Eastland Pearl City did not score offensively. Wow. So really great effort from Farmington. But man, it was one of those, it's kind of an old-fashioned slugfest. I mean, it was a defensive battle. And it was a big turnover. It was Eastland Pearl City took a lead on the scoop and score. They took a lead 8-6. Then a couple possessions later, they had a big costly turnover, an interception. And Jackson Gronwald, the all-state player for Farmington, makes a huge play on a direct snap, goes 40 yards, sets them up in field goal range. They get a field goal from Johnny Gibbs with about 7 minutes left in the game. And Eastland Pearl City then drives back down. They get themselves in field goal position with like a 4th down from the 6-yard line with like 10 seconds left. They try to kick themselves. Noah Passmore, a kid from Farmington, gets maybe like one finger on it, and it's just enough to slow it down, blocks
Amazing.
the kick. Yeah, it was great. It was really cool. Outside of like the way Geneseo had to win, that game's like 1A, 1B for me as far as best game in our area for sure. So it was fun. Before
we talk about Anna Weathersfield, and we're talking about crazy games, and I'm the first person, so don't yell at me, people, that like leave referees alone. But how does that happen in the playoff game where they kick a field goal on 5th down to win the game?
So what we've heard was that time, you know how it gets. Like time is winding down. The team is moving quickly because they either don't want to run out of time or they need to get to the line to spike the ball to stop the clock. So that being said, it's moving quick. At one point, the quarterback, I don't know if accidentally, I don't know if he started to fumble the ball. Somehow he knelt down on one of the downs. So there's a loss of down. And then that was 3rd down. Then he spikes it. He gets up and spikes it real quick because he kind of knew he messed up. Well, that was 4th down. And so then time had run out. But then because he spiked it, they put 1 second on the clock. But the spike was 4th down. But then they still, after convening and talking through it, gave them the ball with 1 second left for the kick. So I think essentially we heard along the way that maybe one of those plays wasn't even whistled in, that the offense shouldn't have run a play. But then that gets confusing. And either way, they end up with a 5th down. It's a terrible mistake to happen in that high leverage of a situation. I feel bad for the losing team, obviously. In some ways, I feel bad for the winning team because this kid still had to kick a field goal to win the game, and you kind of steal that moment from him.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I feel bad for the officials too, because I know they're expected to get those calls right. That's what they're paid to do. They're human beings. They made a mistake in a terrible situation. I'm sure that they feel just as bad about it as anyone else is feeling mad or upset or anything. They feel terrible too. So
it's funny because
it's just an unfortunate situation all the way around.
I talked with official friend of ours earlier today, and it wasn't even about this, just in general. And we kind of talked about, he had heard that I was sticking up for officials, and I still do. And like, it's amazing. He mentioned social media, and that's where it gets, because you can freeze frame everything. and go and look at it, and it's so easy to do. And in college and the pros, they got guys calling from New York saying like, hey, let's look at this. Let's figure it out. We have 18 cameras and all this kind of stuff. So with that, it's just a different form and it's tough to do. I don't know if I'm the opposing team. How did they line up to kick the ball? Like if I knew I was right, and people in Geneseo that watched me act like an idiot on the sideline last night for an 8th grade basketball game, I would have stood on the ball and been like, we are not kicking this. I will count you the plays. This is not correct.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where the confusion came. Like it was confusion. And I'm not sure too. That. Yes. I think both Porta and Fairfield coaches were also confused. I think things were moving very fast, and I get it. Like, you got a lot you're trying to manage in that moment, but yes, it's unfortunate that they didn't catch it either, or that you're right. Like, yeah, if you knew, get out there on the field. And I know that the Porta coach who ended up winning the game, he admitted they did not realize that it was
crazy.
Fifth down.
It's crazy.
So, yeah.
It's crazy. And is there any
real quick to wrap it up, I will say that for the people who are shouting from their rooftops saying, it's easy, we have video evidence, send it to the IHSA and the IHSA overturns it. And that's that simple. It's not that simple.
It's a bad precedent.
There are bylaws in place that state the officials on the field call the final judgment of the game.
Yeah.
When they walk off, when that game is blown dead, when the clock's at 0, that game is over. That game is official. There is no, for better or worse, there is no protest. There is no formal way to overturn an official's call. And I think if you want to be mad about that, that's fine. Then a coach or somebody down the way, a school needs to come up with a proposal to change that system. But in the current system, I think it's set up for a reason. The reason being, you know how it is. Every game, every week, somewhere around the state, somebody's got an argument about they screwed up the down and distance.
Yep.
Yes. There was a first down they didn't call. There was a holding penalty that cost us a touchdown. We should have won. There'd be submissions for games to be overturned every week if we did this.
It's a
very slippery slope. Yeah. It's not as easy as just overturning it. So I just want to get that out there.
Is there any truth to the rumor that Don Umland crossed the river and called that game down in Illinois? It wasn't Don. All right. Well, then it's no fun.
I don't think so.
If I can't blame Don Umland, then I don't want to have nothing to do. Okay. One more game to get to. Anawan Wethersfield in 1A. Impressive. They get the win in the first round. Another playoff powerhouse. You know, you hear these teams like, this one's Deer Creek Mackinac, but Tri-Valley and El Paso Gridley. Like, these are all teams this time of year that you're used to hearing. What do we know about Deer Creek Mackinac? Obviously a really good program. And Anawan, obviously a special season for them so far. Haven't lost a football game.
Yeah, so I've really been impressed with what I've seen with Anawan Wethersfield this year for good reason, right? The names we've talked about, Devin Orey, and you have Maddox Heitzler at quarterback, and Nick Thurston. I was almost blanking on the other name there. But those three have really been a trio of running backs they do things a little bit different. They each kind of complement each other, which makes them really dangerous. You had Danny Heston step up last week at an 81-yard punt return for a touchdown. Last week, they ran for 311 rushing yards as a team. They only allowed 103 yards of total offense. So this season, I don't have it in front of me. This season, they have not let up a whole lot of points, especially their first team defense. I don't have it right in front of me, but overall, very good ratio to the points they've put up versus the points they've allowed. You know, this is a good DMAC team. They're 7-3. Sean Denniston is a running back to watch for. 199 yards last week, 5 total touchdowns. He's put up a lot of yards throughout the whole season. He's a player to watch for sure. But, I think the big question becomes, can Anawan Wethersfield, I don't think, going through the Lincoln Land Conference, they weren't tested as much as some other schools week in and week out. I think that overall, they saw a couple teams with a lot of high-end talent but then there was some drop off. Can they overcome that and become one of the, prove themselves as one of the best teams in 1A? This would be a game to go in that direction for sure.
Absolutely. I do believe, are they at home? They're on the road.
Yep. At DMAC.
So they'd be at home the following week if they won, I'm assuming. Most likely. Maybe not.
If they win, they will either host Lena Winslow or host Gibson City Melvin Sibley. I'm guessing they would be hosting Lena Winslow.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's a challenge this week to prove themselves. Next week would be the ultimate challenge. I would love to see that matchup. That would be then the ultimate challenge to prove that you're one of the best in 1A going up against Lena.
So you're going to Macomb.
I'm going to Macomb.
All the teams you just mentioned happen to win, what would you do the next week? Would you go to Anna Wethersfield for Lena Winslow, Anna Wethersfield? Would you go to Geneseo for a playoff game there? Would you go to Wilmington at Rock Ridge?
That's a great question.
That's why I'm the best in the business, Greg.
Rock Ridge playing either Seneca or Wilmington would be intriguing to me because Seneca and Wilmington both are like really run heavy teams that run kind of interesting.
I was told by somebody, if you think Seneca runs the football really well, then Wilmington is Seneca on crack.
Yeah.
Or on steroids. Like they're that
yes.
That's what they do.
I believe that.
Okay.
I would say, yes, I would lean towards it being Wilmington next week. They're going to run the ball on steroids or on crack, whatever.
Let's do steroids when it comes to high school football. Probably a little better.
That's even better to say. We're going to talk about high school kids doing steroids.
Well,
that's even better than
crack, I think. I don't know. Let's start a poll. Why not? What's a better reference with high school sports? Illegal drugs or steroids? Go.
Back to the start, I would say I would either lean that Rockridge Wilmington matchup really interests me. I want to see, again, I would love to see, this is what we've been waiting for, right? Is for Rockridge to get a chance to go up against a team that gets a lot of headlines. Wilmington's been to state title games. They've won state titles. They get a lot of headlines. It's a huge opportunity if it's Rockridge Wilmington. That game would stand out to me. Like Geneseo hosting Morris or Metamora, like you can't get like programs bigger than that, right? This time of year. So that's a really fun kind of like just traditional powerhouse schools. But yeah, I have not seen Lena Winslow this year. So there you go. Like I'm going to go to all of them. I want to go to all of them.
I love how we just spent 5 minutes talking about what if fantasy matchups that we're talking about. No, I know the plan is Macomb. Is there an instant reacts?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Instant reacts, 9:30 Saturday night. Yep.
Well, I may have to hop on if I'm still invited.
Do it.
But I may have to hop on.
Oh, absolutely. Make it happen.
I was going to be done at like 6:30. I should be back by like 8:30. And I'm going to do a little post of my own for that game. But then after that, I'm at a little high school football. Remind people, obviously, at 750 subscribers, and there's no reason
we made it
in the next month we don't get. I know. So somebody put out there like by the beginning of next year should be 1,000. Forget that. By the end of the postseason, we still got 3 weeks.
All right.
There's no reason it doesn't get up to 1,000. So if you're listening to this show, if you watch OTA and you're subscribed to us, there's no reason that we don't have mirror. Like we should have the same amount of subscriptions. So go there, click on it. It'll help them out regardless. But also if you're a high school football fan, it's really cool. And we mentioned this before, but throughout the week, just with like Mike Morrissey did and Kai Weinzerl mentioned it, like the fact that what you guys are doing with View from the West and a little help from me, I get to join every once in a while. Like it's people are taking notice. And I think that's kind of fun because I think we're just having a bunch of fun and people are enjoying it. That's the cool thing. It's not work. For us, it's just something we love to do, and people are enjoying it.
I always joke that I started the podcast because my wife didn't want to hear me talk about high school football this much, so I had to talk to somebody else. So you and Mitch are the, and the audience. I guess
and now you have taken over her office, put a banner up behind you. Poor Becca.
I have.
Like, hey, it's better than me. I kicked the kids out of the loft and I put together this thing. I mean, who knows?
You kicked them out of their own bedroom is what you did.
Bottom line is we have good wives. and there's no reason that they're married to us. And I tell people all the time, my wife is a genius. Her only shortcoming is her choice of men. Other than that, she's brilliant. I would say the same about Becca as well. So, all right, well, if you aren't subscribed to View from the West, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy I'm assuming Junior's going with you to McComb?
It's possible. He has been the last 2 weeks. He might have prior engagements, but we'll see.
Was he got a date? Huh?
No, I think he might go hang out with my dad, which includes like sitting around and watching college football all Saturday. So he might be doing that.
That's not a bad thing either. So, guys, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Instant Reacts. Hopefully, make sure you check out the Instant Reacts. Awesome. It's coming your way Saturday night, 9:30. Hopefully, we're talking about a whole bunch of winning teams and where we're heading to next. So, Greg, appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right. That is Greg Armstrong from View from the West. Make sure you're subscribing and all that good stuff. We got more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Friday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. It's a little weird. It's a Friday. Usually I'm out at a football stadium, have for the last 10 weeks at some football stadium around the area. Nothing close this week when it comes to a home game, but still so much great football to talk about. We just wrapped up with Greg from View from the West, and I want to break down one of the games we didn't talk a ton about with Greg because I knew that we'd be joined by the always handsome Tony Gripp right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo and Old Weathersfield head coach. Your third appearance. Like, you're a regular now on the show, Coach.
Yeah. Hey, like you said, I should be getting a paycheck by now.
We'll work on that. The boss is my wife, and she doesn't give me a paycheck. So I don't know. Once I start getting one, I'll get one to you as well. Before we talk about your game coming up with Deer Creek Mackinac, I want to talk about last week, and it was a opening round game against a conference opponent in Stark County, one you had already beaten. You got them again, but I know you have a lot of respect for that program. Just talk about last week and having the challenge of beating a team twice in one season, which is always hard with a really good coaching staff. So talk about last week and how your boys performed to get to this point now.
Yeah, I mean, we started slow, but they came out in a few different looks. They had to change their personnel defensively, and Coach Nord did a great job of getting their guys ready and changing things up against us. Doing things we haven't seen before. So, we started off a little bit slow in the first quarter there, and I think we only had one possession in the first quarter. Their offense held the ball, but we got it figured out in the second quarter, and ended up pulling away. So
you guys get the victory. Obviously, you got to get ready for the next one, but you got to enjoy that. What was last weekend like? The environment on a playoff Saturday at your place and all those kind of things is special. What was that like? And obviously seeing your guys, get a playoff victory. And I know it's not easy to do. So what was that experience like for you guys before you moved on?
Yeah, honestly, it was awesome. I was expecting a little bit more excitement from our guys after the game, but I think, this group's just they're different when it comes to the mental part of the game. They get excited for each other and they celebrate, but at the same time, they know, at least last week, they knew that they probably should have won, right? And I think they would have liked to play a little bit better. So there wasn't a whole lot of, excitement, unfortunately. We kind of had to talk about that after the game. Like, hey, it's tough to beat a team twice. It's tough to win a playoff game. And, you guys did both of those things. So, enjoy it, tonight, but then get ready to go and get your film study done on Sunday. So that was kind of the message. As a coaching staff, we cleaned everything up and went and watched the DMAC Chicago Crane game on NFHS. So we didn't really, take our own advice and go celebrate necessarily. We just got back to work. But, we got a great group of kids, and we think the sky's the limit for them, and they work tremendously hard for us.
It's been a business-like approach. Like you mentioned, they're a very focused group. They haven't lost a game. It's been a fun season, a fantastic season. But there's still that everybody's talking about every other team in 1A, but Animal Weathersfield sometimes. Do you guys feel a little overlooked at some points when it comes to the big picture of things, or do you not care about those kind of things?
I think it's normal to talk about, the NUIC first of all in 1A football. And I'm not naive to the fact that, they're the best 1A football conference in the state. Like the proof is in the pudding, right? So, I just go back to, I kind of like going under the radar, and, if people don't talk about us, then we got to do something to make them talk about us. Right. And, everybody can say, well, you win this one, you're probably going to have Lena in the next round and all that good stuff. And, that may be true, but, there's no better, I wouldn't want it any other way, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that's been Lena. So, why not?
Absolutely. To get to them, it's Deer Creek, Mackinac on a trip there this week. And we kind of a little bit referenced it in the last segment, but I don't know if I knew about it as much until I just chatted with you a little bit before we started the interview. They're a different offense, and I think that's the maybe nicest way to put it, or the easiest way to put it. What have you seen on film from them, and what are you guys preparing for? Because it's not the normal every week preparations when it comes to a football team.
Yeah. They're going to try to put us in a lot of really, really bad spots defensively. And, they have a really, really good running back. He's going to tote it 20 plus times, I imagine. But they're going to spread us out in about 20 different crazy formations and see if we can line up correctly. And if we can't, they're going to take what we're giving them, and it's going to be a long night for us. So, I think the biggest thing is we just kind of came up with some easy rules for our guys as far as, lining up against their personnel. And, no matter where, that position or that number is on the field, you're going to follow them wherever they go. But kind of keeping our bigger guys in the middle of the field so they don't have to move back and forth all the time. And just really trying to get some easy rules for our guys so they don't have to think as much when, everything's thrown at them. So, it was really, really simple message. Here's the rules, follow the rules, and tackle.
Yeah.
And everything's going to take care of itself. So we'll see if we can do that tomorrow.
You look at it too, Coach, and offensively, it's really no secret what you guys want to do. Kind of talk about, the strength of running the football, and it's gotten better as the season's gone along. There's no secret of what Anawan Weathersfield wants to do offensively, is there?
Nope. When we got our kids up front playing as well as they are, and, three guys that can tote the rock really, really well, the risk is really, really low when you just hand it to one of those guys and say go. So, we're going to keep on doing what we're doing. We played really, really physical up front on Saturday in round one, probably the most physical we played all year, and I loved seeing it. So, we're gonna try to continue to do that and build off of that. But when the opportunity arises, we're gonna stretch the field vertically and horizontally if that's what they're giving us at the same time. So.
Can you talk about that community right now? I know it's a special community. They're used to good football and winning football and all those kind of things. They don't get the home game this week. We talked about what could be maybe if they do. But they're going to travel. You know that. What's this week like around that place? I know everybody's excited, and you're going to see plenty of Titan support on the road, I know, this weekend as well.
Yeah. Hey, Titan faithful, they never lose. They show up no matter where we're at. So I did hear a rumor about a party bus potentially making the trip. So if that tells you anything about the excitement for the playoffs as far as the community goes, I think that's pretty much all you need to know. No, there's no doubt in my mind we'll pack the visiting stands and bring a good crowd that I'm sure is going to show up rather early.
No, I'm sure it will. Tony Gripp from Anna One Weathersfield joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned the celebration part of it and enjoying these kind of things. And I know you're continuing to do that. And sometimes it's hard for these kids to do, which is good because they're focused. But you've lived it. You've gone through these kind of things. They're some of the best days of your life. Is that the message you're continuing to give these guys? Is that, yes, it's work and focus and all that kind of stuff, but enjoy the heck out of this. There's a lot of teams around Illinois that would love to be preparing and still playing football. And when you're old and like you and even older like me, yep, you're going to look back on days like this very fondly.
Absolutely. Yeah. We talk about, how everybody has an hourglass and, to a certain extent, when that hourglass is getting low, right? But when you get to this point, you don't know how many grains of sand are left. And, we're guaranteed one more practice tonight and one more game tomorrow, and that's really it. So, just take a second and enjoy the opportunities that are ahead of you. And it can be so serious sometimes when it comes to playoff football practices, but anytime there's, emotions are getting a little high, we try to, lighten the mood a little bit with whatever it may be, a joke, a kid that's hurt kicking a field goal or, whatever the case may be. Just because, at the end of the day, we want these kids to love their time with us and, have some of their best memories growing up, being around us and their teammates on the football field. So.
No, absolutely. That's very well said. Is there anything funky when it comes to the postseason? I've seen soccer teams painting hair or dyeing hair. I've seen, the buzzing, the mullet, everything else. Do you guys do anything funky, crazy at Anna One Weathersfield? Nope.
We don't do anything crazy like that. Typical team meals, team breakfasts, game day lifts, stuff like that. But nothing too crazy. I probably need a haircut and a shave. I don't think I've had one of those before since the season started. So.
Why do it now?
Maybe I'll do that tonight. But
no.
Yeah, why now, right?
Why would you do that now? Hey, Coach, I don't want to brag or anything, but we went to Geneseo last week and they had an amazing victory and everything like that. I'm sure you've heard about that. We went there twice. They won. I think when we've gone 2 places this year, I think we were 8-2 or 9-1. Now, obviously, we didn't come out to Anna One Weathersfield, but I feel like, and you know it, we were on before and you guys rolled Stark County. So I don't know how superstitious you are, but if you win, don't forget to thank your local TV guy that now does a goofy show in his loft. I mean, I get some credit, don't I?
Yes, that again. Yep, all the credit, right?
If something bad happens, just forget about me, okay? Don't worry that it wasn't my fault. Right? It's one of those things. So, well, Coach, I appreciate you always doing this. Best of luck. Enjoy the travels. How far is the trip?
It's about an hour and 15 minutes from Kewanee.
Okay, so that's not bad.
Not bad.
Go get the job done, get another victory, and we'll talk to you again next week about a matchup at home, possibly. So don't put cart ahead of horse. Tell those guys good luck, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. That is Coach Tony Gripp out at Anna One Weathersfield. One of the big games. They got Anna One Weathersfield in 1A. In 2A, Rock Ridge is on the road, and Newman playing as well. In 3A, Monmouth Roseville representing the our area when they go down to Bloomington Central Catholic. Geneseo on the road at Macomb, one of the best games of the week. And then, of course, Moline in 7A on the road as well. A lot of teams on the road this week. They go on the road. They get the job done. They come back to our area and what could be a really fun quarterfinal Saturday right here in our area in the Quad Cities. So we got more to get to. You're watching OTA on a Friday. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Friday in the Quad Cities. TGIF, if you're on YouTube, thank you for sticking with us. I started the show and I had the setting on privacy. I don't know how that happened. Once again, hats off to Dane Miller for dealing with me, giving him a call and being like, why can't, I mean, it looks good. Like, why can't it get out there? And it was the click of a button as usual. So we caught up quickly, and we appreciate everyone for chatting and watching on YouTube throughout the week. It's been a ton of fun. So it was a fun show, and it's a big weekend. A couple things I want to mention. Congratulations once again to Assumption and North Scott. We will be joined by them early next week, Monday, Tuesday maybe, but we'll get to those state champions, and rightfully so, early next week. They were in Coralville yesterday celebrating getting back, all those kind of things, so we won't rush it. We'll get to them next week as well. Congratulations. A weird thing with Riverdale volleyball yesterday. They won a sectional. Their coach received a red card, still trying to figure it all out, or a red whatever, and she got ejected, and Guy Derricks had to step in and coach volleyball, and they won a sectional championship. So Guy does it all. The guy does it all, and Guy does it all. So crazy situation there. We will keep an eye on Riverdale and other schools in Illinois playing volleyball still. Best of luck to Rock Island. The soccer team playing tonight in the state semifinals against Washington. If you missed it, Jonas Cortez was on the show yesterday. So if you're going down to that match tonight, you need something to listen to or watch on the way down, check out Off the Air yesterday, and you can see that interview. Did a fantastic job as well. So a big weekend of high school football. Thank you to Greg for joining me. Greg Armstrong from View from the West. Subscribe to them. Covered everything you need to know when it comes to high school football and the playoffs on this side of the river. Best of luck to Wilton. They're still alive on the Iowa side. They play tonight, I believe. Yeah, tonight. So best of luck to the Beavers and Coach Hautzler and everyone out in Wilton as well. Again, big weekend of college football. Iowa and Oregon. We'll have a special edition of Off the Air simulcast with the Hawkeye Report podcast coming up on Saturday evening after that game as well. Game is at 2:30. I'm guessing by 8:30, we'll get up and rolling with a post pod and a post show on Iowa and Oregon. Again, it's Iowa State at TCU. The Cyclones are trying to break a 4-game losing streak. If you've not gotten signed up to get involved with our Nest Guest contest brought to you by Hunger Hobo, get to my social media. The link is right there. Click on it and sign up. Make your picks easy as can be. Win free Hunger Hobo. It's worth the time for sure. So do that as well. Illinois off this week. College basketball wise, everybody's playing. Iowa State cruised yesterday. And how about this? Robert Morris went to Drake and beat the Bulldogs. So the team Iowa beat by 32 went to Drake and got a victory as well. So bodes well for Iowa. I still think Drake will be fine. New coach, adjusting, all those kind of things. So Illinois, I think, plays tonight basketball-wise. So what a fun time of year. There's no reason. In fact, tonight, I know at least a couple of my dudes, a couple of my kids and my wife's out of town, are going to get some food, go to the basement, and watch a ton of sports when it comes to Iowa basketball, Illinois basketball, a little wrestling as well with some SmackDown, all that kind of stuff. So don't forget the Hawkeye the Hawkeye Tailgate Show will come your way live tomorrow at 12:30 on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Excited about the show. Plenty of great guests on there as well. If you're at Kinnick and you stop by and say hi at Kraus Family Plaza, we won't be there tomorrow. We're going to be up in the booth, but still plenty of fun stuff going on at Kraus Family Plaza. Hopefully the weather cooperates, and we have a fun Saturday of college football. Iowa 6-2 in the season, hosting 7-1 Oregon. I believe it's 9 versus 20 in the college football playoff rankings, something like that. So a big weekend of sports. And of course, we'll be here on Monday to kind of wrap it all up. Bears at home against the Giants. My beloved Lions go to Washington. Packers and Eagles on, I believe, Sunday night or Monday night, one of the two. I know it's primetime. So, so much to get to. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy watching sports and enjoy watching high school sports. Best of luck to all of our local teams. It's a super fun time of year, and we'll be back with a jam-packed show coming up on Monday. I guarantee you that. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys on Monday.